Lesson 2.8, Financial Literacy, Simple Interest. Principal is the amount of money borrowed or deposited. Simple interest is the amount paid or earned for the use of money. So again, our principal is how much money we put in the bank or how much we're going to take out of the bank. And simple interest is either how much we're going to pay to use the bank's money or how much we're going to get paid to keep our money in the bank. So the simple interest formula is shown below. Fill in the diagram using the correct words from the word bank. So our simple interest formula is I equals PRT, or IPERT. Okay? So again, each letter represents something. So I is the interest, equals P, which is principal, R, which is rate, and rate is always your percent, and then T, which is time, and time is always in years. So again, we have our interest. That's going to be calculated by taking your principal, so how much money you put in the bank or how much you borrow, times your rate, which is your percent, we have to change that to a decimal, times your time, and time is always in years. Okay? So again, the simple interest formula. Simple interest I is the product of the principal P, the annual interest rate R, and the time T expressed in years. Again, your interest rate is always your percent, and your time is always in years. Okay, so let's try a few examples here. Let's calculate some simple interest. Jenny puts $1,560 into a savings account. The account pays 2.5% simple interest. How much interest will she earn in 3 years? Okay, so we're trying to figure out here how much interest are we going to earn. So again, I'm going to highlight the key parts that I know. She puts $1,560 in the bank. We have a 2.5% interest rate, and we're going to do that for 3 years. So again, I always start with my formula. I equals PRT. And then again, I'm going to fill in the pieces that I know. And we only know how to solve for one variable, so we're going to know 3 out of these 4 pieces. So I asked myself, do I know the interest? Do I know how much money I made or how much I had to pay to use money? Well, no. They didn't tell us that. Okay. So do I know the principal, how much I put in? Yes, I had put in $1,560 times the rate, which was 2.5%, so I'm going to change my 2.5% to a decimal. And then times my time in years, and it says it was 3 years, so we can just put 3 there. And since I have I all by itself, I go ahead and multiply. I take 1,560 times 0.025 times 3, and I would get 117. So I would say my simple interest is $117. So that means by putting $1,560 into a savings account for 3 years at a 2.5% interest rate, you would earn $117. Okay, example B. Marcos invests $760 into a savings account. The account pays 4% simple interest. How much interest will he earn after 5 years? Okay, so again, I pick out the pieces I know. We invest $760 at a 4% interest rate for 5 years. Then I start with my formula. Interest equals principal times rate times time. And again, I'm going to fill in the pieces that I know. Well, I invest $760. So if I invest it, that's my principal. It's what I put in. Then times I have 4%. Again, the percent is always your rate. We change that to a decimal. Times, and then I have 5 years. So my years goes in for T. Again, time is always in years, which they put it in. So this time, again, I'm solving for my simple interest. So now I'm going to take 760 times 400 times 5. And when we multiply those, we get 152. So we would say the simple interest we earned was $152. Okay, example C. Mrs. Hanover borrows $1,400 at a rate of 5.5% per year. How much simple interest will she pay if it takes 8 months to repay the loan? Okay, so again, she's borrowing $1,400, 5.5% rate for 8 months. Okay, so when I go to fill in my formula here, I know we borrow $1,400, so that's our principal. And we have 5.5% per year. Again, my percent is always my rate, so I'm going to change that to a decimal. Again, when we change it to a decimal, we move our decimal point to the left 2 times. And then I have 8 months. So 8 months would be my time, but again, my time always has to be in years. And since it's in 8 months, we need to convert that to years. And we know that there's 12 months in a year, so we can put this over 12. So again, I'm solving for the interest. Then I'm going to take 1,400 times 55 thousandths times 8 12ths. And when I multiply that, I get 51.33. So we would have to pay an extra $51.33. So again, when we borrow money from the bank, we have to pay interest on that money. We're paying to use somebody else's money. So we'd have to pay an additional $51.33 here. Example D, an office manager charges $425 worth of office supplies on a credit card. The credit card has an interest rate of 9 9/10%. How much money will he owe at the end of 1 month if he makes no other charges on the card and does not make a payment? Okay, so again, I underline the parts that are important to me. We charge $425 at a 9.9% interest rate for 1 month. Okay, so again, when I go to fill in my formula, I fill in the parts that I know. So I charge $425, that would be our principal. And I was at a 9.9% interest rate. So again, that's our rate, and we change it to a decimal. And then we're doing it for 1 month. Again, our time always has to be in years, and since it's in months, we're going to put it over 12. And we're solving for interest here. So when we calculate those, we get $3.51. Okay, but this time it asks, how much money will he owe at the end of 1 month if he makes no other charges on the card and does not make a payment? So now we didn't make that payment. So at the end of 1 month, we have to take our payment plus our interest to figure out what is our new total. So now we're going to take $425 plus $3.51, and when we add those together, our new total is now $428.51. So this time, instead of just telling me what the simple interest was, you had to tell us how much are we going to make after 1 month. Okay, so it wasn't just the interest, it was our total altogether. So now what is our new bill? Our new bill is what we charged plus the interest we had to pay. Okay, and if we flip over to the back, let's look at example E. Maggie is taking out a student loan for $2,600. She plans on paying off the loan in 3 years. At the end of 3 years, Maggie will have paid $390 in interest. What is the simple interest rate on the student loan? Okay, so again, I start with my formula. Interest equals principal times rate times time. I underline my key parts. We have a student loan for $2,600 for 3 years, and we have $390 in interest. Okay, once I have my key parts, I have my formula, I'm going to fill in the pieces I know. So again, we're taking out a loan for $2,600. That would be our principal. She plans on paying it off for 3 years, so I know my time, which is 3. And she paid interest of $390. This time we know the interest. And now what we are solving for is the rate. Okay, so we're not always solving for simple interest. Sometimes we want to know different values. We always can figure it out. Again, we fill in the pieces we know and solve for the unknown. So we had $390 in interest at a $2,600 loan. We want to know what the rate is, and we took it out for 3 years. Okay, so we're going to solve for R here. So the first thing I would do is combine like terms. I would take 2,600 times 3, and when we multiply those, we get 7,800 times R equals 390. And again, I need to get R by itself. To get R by itself, we do the opposite of what is being done to it. So since we're taking 7,800 times R, we're going to divide by 7,800. And what we do to one side, we have to do to the other side. That allows those to simplify down. So we have 390 divided by 7,800. And we get 500 equals R. But again, R was always our percent. So we got to change this 500s back to a percent. So we move our decimal point 2 spots in the right. So we got our interest rate at 5%. So again, when you're working with simple interest, we have the interest, the principal, the rate, and the time. We fill in the 3 pieces we know, and we solve for the unknown.